at an airport. When he comes, February 1st of 2014 now,
Right.
the young lady packs up and she said, this is not my lifestyle.
You're praying too much. You're too deep. Ain't nobody got time.
No. So she literally packs up and leaves. And
Wow.
he never tried to go back to pursue her, ever. And so in that time, now I'm in Buffalo. I had prayed those prayers in December. It's now February. I'm minding my business. My friend comes to do her hair. She had just moved to Buffalo. She was doing her pharmacy. And everyone knows I used to do hair. So she's like, I heard you used to do hair. Can you do my hair? So she comes to my house one evening. And she's like, it was around February-ish. And that December when I was praying, the Lord told me that Valentine's Day would be the last Valentine's Day that I spent alone of 2013. Because my friends used to kind of mock me, like, you're the only one without a boyfriend, you're this, you're that. We had a group chat, and they asked one time, what do we buy for a man? And one said, she's going to buy shoes. And I said, don't buy a man shoes that's not your husband. He'll walk out of your life. It's just something that I heard, so I just started to say it.
Right.
So they're like, oh, please, you've never been in a relationship. You don't
You
know what it
wouldn't
means.
know.
You would not know.
Yeah.
I went home.
Go read your Bible.
Yeah, I went home and I cried out to God. God said that would be your last Valentine's Day together, by yourself, alone. December, I pray for him. February, the girl leaves. February, the friend comes to my house to braid her hair. So as she's getting her hair braided, she's like, girl, we got to marry right. We can't be marrying wrong because our generation is just doing too much wrong marriages, especially when you know you have the call of God on your life. And she's a prophet of the Lord as well, too. And so she's just talking, and she's like, one of my good friends, you know, he was in a situation. Thank God he's out of it now, and we're praying concerning some stuff. So I'm like, okay, she didn't mention any names. So I'm just doing her hair. Finished doing her hair, I lay on the couch because I was so tired. I had school, work, and then I came to do hair. So I'm laying on the couch. I'm going on Facebook, and then I see that though I blocked him on Facebook, I can still see that she had tagged him. I just couldn't click on his name. So I'm like, how do you know this guy? Like, what is this?
Yeah.
And she's like, that's the guy I've been talking to you about the whole time. And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, he's no longer married. Like, the girl, it didn't work out. They didn't even get to have a real wedding. Like, it did not work out. So I'm like, what do you mean?
You're not interested. Like, talk to me.
Talk to me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what do you mean this didn't happen? And she's like, yeah, it was not the will of God. And she goes, look how skinny I look. We've been fasting and praying. So I'm like, really? So she shows me a picture of him, and he had gotten so skinny because he had just come from the mountain. Now he's going through like a divorce, and he's fasting and praying. So I'm like, ooh, why does he look like that? Why is he so skinny?
Yeah.
And she's like, because he's on a dry fast, and me and a few other guys were supporting him because he says that the angel of the Lord is bringing his wife. So I'm like, okay. So I'm like, do you know the name of the person you're fasting for? So she's like, yeah. And again, everyone calls me Yah because that's my tree name. So he's like, so she's like, oh, I think her name is Yah. And I was like, do you know her American name? And she's like, no, but what do you care about? And I was like, okay. So 5 minutes went by, and I'm like, could you do me a favor? Could you call that guy and ask him who you guys are fasting for? Without any resistance, she actually calls. She calls, I hear his voice, and immediately it's like, Elizabeth, something just leaped, but I had to be calm. And she's like, what's the name of the person we're fasting for? They only told us her African name, but what's her English name? And he's like, you in Buffalo? And she's like, yeah. And he was like, well, she's in Buffalo. So she's like, and then he goes, her name is Leslie. She freaks out. She starts screaming, like literally screaming, jumping up. My roommate comes out like, what? And I'm like.
And he's still on the phone?
No, she had hung up.
Yeah.
And she literally hung up on him. She's like, I'll call you back. So she's screaming, jumping, and she's like, you are the girl I've been fasting and praying for all this time. And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, we have done like 8 days dry.